All right, let's get going here. So, yesterday was a wasn't a very exciting day, let's say, but it was what was expected. Yesterday's discussion pre-market was we got exactly what was expected. A consolidation type of day, didn't go very far down or very far up. And so our factory work is, we're looking at the futures here. Uh, it's not only in the lower half of the big wide range bar, it's in the lower third. So it's bearish. So yeah, we've got a bottoming tail bar. There were buyers down there near the lows. Um, to be expected, you get a drop of that extent, that close there. It could have come down there and tagged the lows before it went up, but buyers, stepped up. It was, a little climactic, on the way down there. And, so they stepped up and made this turn. And now it's starting to drift lower here. I'm skeptical that, this can go much lower today. Meaning yesterday, part of what I spoke about was a continuation pattern lower. Now, this wouldn't be the highest probability type of continuation pattern, one that happened after a bottoming tail bar. Today is just the beginning of the move. Now, if today, I can't even really call this a range expansion bar after the bar that we saw on Friday. But it's relatively wide compared to what we see up here. Now, if today was a big down bar, maybe. In other words, I would have preferred this to get a little bit higher away from this low over here and then form this continuation pattern. We'll see. So one of the things to look for here is now that it's started to make a turn on the hourly chart, that it moves back up. All right, so let me get my drawing tool here. I'll do better with crayons. Kidding here. So you get an extended move like this, and then it comes up and you make the pivot. Well, that is a low odds short, unless you're a scalper here, which is doable. But let's stick with this time frame, since it's made this big move to the downside. The trend is down, and our concept of creating resistance. Now, this is what we look for. It created a pivot, and we look for a retest pattern. So a retest up here, some type of retest, it could make a higher high, could make a lower high, could make an even high, whatever. And we look for a confirming bearish pattern, whatever it looks like over here in the area of that pivot high, and then a move lower. Now, we all know we got all these earnings coming out tonight, tomorrow, the next day, and that all could result in a pretty choppy price action, until we get into the end of the week. It's just not a good setup here as far as the broader markets go yet to expect some type of a large move, which is expected to be lower after what we saw. Two big wide range bars historically result in lower prices. We've got this resistance area, support area down there, and we have to sit through whatever chop is going to occur to get that out of the way. For whatever move's going to happen. So it's not a high probability scenario right now, other than intraday moves and even credit spreads today. When you think about it, we've got all these earnings coming out, whether it's Apple or Microsoft or Facebook or whatever, could come out and get things ripping in one direction or the other. And, you've got this unexpected news that's coming that could play havoc with a high probability setup. So, I'm not, at a point where I feel comfortable with that. However, McGraw, I don't know if you were in the room in the afternoon yesterday, but I shared with Dan an email that I had gotten where the futures the E-mini futures now are going to have 0 DTE every day. And so that opens up the door to, I mean, 0 DTE is obviously a lot easier to deal with and manage on intraday basis. Thank you for that ES first, but having the ability to do 0 DTE every day, days to expiration, you do something that day, it expires that day, we're done with it. We don't have any gap risk, especially with a futures contract. Yeah, they move fast, but we do the same thing that we do. Where's the premium? Where's support? Where's resistance? And so on. How far away can we get it? Is there premium? All right. So let's look at spiders. It's not going to look all that much different. We got a turn day. It's at 426s now. Gapping down a little bit. It's not a significant gap down. It's inside bar. It's nothing. And as we look at this pattern, it's just kind of drifting lower. So I would think buyers are going to step up and try and push it up again. Same story. I'm just kind of waiting for things to set up in a higher probability scenario. And, maybe with some of these earnings reports coming out, there might be big gaps, tomorrow morning. We're not getting that today. So, it is what it is. And we'll see how it all plays out. NASDAQ futures down here a bit, not a big deal. Up at the top of the range, drifting lower. Same story. 41.75 for a put spread. It's not as far away as I would like, McGraw, but I wouldn't call it a no-brainer, especially, with something that's in a downtrend. And, do I think it'll work? I do, because I'm more inclined of thinking that the market's going nowhere versus something of significance. Now, is that significant? Not really. Not really. On a day-to-day basis where it's this big, I don't think today is the turn day. And if it is a turn day where it was to set up that type of continuation pattern, I don't think it would get much further than 4,200. Back down to the bottom of the range where it tests that and it pops back up again, and we start forming an intraday trading range on the hourly time frame. So I wouldn't do it with a large position, I'll tell you that. But it's one of those things where let's do it smaller and see how it works out. Yeah. So money management gives us that flexibility. I'm not comfortable with it, so I'm not going to press it hard, but I think it's worth doing. That's kind of like the attitude with that. All right. YM. Bottom of the range, didn't get very far, rolling back over, same story, kind of drifting there. Look to the left, there's a pivot low there, could hit that and start to bounce up again. But, this 5-minute chart is aligned for selling. Moving average is pointing down. Got to be careful of the pivot lurking over there. It could be a stopping point. And so just based on the way this went up, I'm just trying to cover more of our basis of analysis, the way it went up and creates the void. Once it gets past this, it could continue to drop quite a bit because there isn't much support there. And those drawing their fib lines and trader pivot lines and all that could be a potential stopping point, but that's typically all they are before it just continues down to where, buyers are more comfortable in a significant area of support, price support, not imaginary support. I can draw a line anywhere and just go, let's do this. Well, let's put a line there and put a line there and sell it as proprietary support and resistance to the unexpected. Russell already down at the bottom of support, but it rallied up, rolling back over here. I think it's going to be tricky here. I think that, traders will be willing to bet that yesterday, prices coming down as far as they did at the end of last week, that this could bounce some more. So I think, again, repetitive, but earnings reports, support, big move, void, so on and so forth. Be nimble or sit on your hands. Bitcoin up a little bit, big deal, big mess. Crude oil, messy stuff at support here. I think, Dan, if I got this right, ass ending triangle. Right? Would that be this? It's kind of flat here, but that's kind of up. I know, ask Debbie. But what I wanted to point out here is not trend lines, but the fact that the ranges or the distance between pivot highs and pivot lows are getting closer together. So where we got this big move and this big move down, and then it gets tighter. What's happening is it's reaching an inflection point. And so the takeaway for those of you that are new to Master Trader and you see all these, line drawing gurus on websites or CNBC or whatever, is to understand it's not about the lines, right, and connecting dots. It's the fact that supply and demand, right, buyers and sellers are reaching their battle, that wide discrepancy of everybody says, sell the hell out of this thing. It's moved too far. Oh, it's moved too far to the downside. That's support. Buy. That came down real hard. You bet it's not going to get up there. Sell it sooner. Oh, it's at support. Oh, you better sell it sooner. And as it reaches, which, the books call the apex of the triangle, whatever angle it is, that it's supposed to break one way or the other. Well, I don't disagree with that. I disagree with these lines being meaningful. What I agree with is that the distance of areas between buyers and sellers are coming together, and it gets to the point where you could use the analogy that the spring is winding tight enough, or somebody's going to blink, and that prices are going to move one way or the other. Now, we look at a higher time frame and say the trend is up, and so the assumption should be that it's going to go up, and then we'll see what actually happens. Indicators on this to give these indicators too much value. Exactly, Robert. I mean, look, we all start out looking at indicators and drawing lines because we're inundated with that. And then as time goes on, even if you're still using them, because this is what we all do, I wasn't any different. Even while we're still using them, we're saying that doesn't work. But I don't know what the hell else to do. That sure as hell doesn't work, where it doesn't work consistently enough that I have comfort in my decision-making using these tools, but I continue to do it because I don't know what else to do. And so when I reached that point, I was like, take it all off the charts. You might refer to as trading naked, and you feel vulnerable. And now your indicators are gone and your trend lines are gone and all of that. And it's like, what the hell do I do now? Sink or swim? And for me, it was like, my God, just look to the left. Oh my God, there's this concept called a tradable void. So, it really comes down to pretty common sense stuff, but you are born into technical analysis with so much misinformation that why would you question it when the vast majority are doing it? And somewhere along the lines, you hear about this guy Capra talking about voids and looking to the left, and it's like, I gave everything else a shot. It didn't work. What the hell? What can I lose? Let me go listen over there at Master Trader and see if some light bulb comes on. Silver breaking down. It's at support, making a little double bottom here. We'll see if that can get going on support. So what do we do with something like this? Well, what do I do with something like this? It's at support. It's traveled a long way. I go down here. I look at my hourly. Oh, maybe a retest. Right? And this is wide and whippy. I can't do anything with that yet. It's too wild. It's like, it's too crazy. But maybe it'll settle down because it's down here. So that's one way you could use wide range bar scans on a daily that creates a void, and then put this on your watch list and wait for it to settle down. Because right now, it's like you can get your head taken off. I don't know who trades this. Algorithms, Superman, not me. All right, transports coming back down to test the slow area. Pretty much a mess like everything else. And interest rates still soaring. How is this market ignoring this? Well, I guess everybody knows they're going to raise interest rates. So what the hell? But my gosh, the 5-year coming down a little bit, 10-year coming down a little bit. So what does that leave us with yield curves? Well, this is coming down. That's really not so much a good sign. So, but really not telling us much either. Today, our internals are starting to move into bullish levels. The last time I was hopeful this would spike lower before the turn, it actually just retested. It came down here and it just did this retest and eventually got this move going. So I don't know. Maybe I'll get my wish this time and we'll get the measured move to the downside and internals will get cooked and we'll get some really nice buying opportunity. But we're still in monitoring mode. We'll see how it all shakes out. To you, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, we would love that measured move scenario, but we got to be prepared if it doesn't happen. So let's see. So ES. All right. So ES, we have 0 DTE. And yeah, that's what we were talking about, Greg. The NQs are still 1 DTE. So I think that email you read, it said when I scrolled down that the other ones were still Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's just they were starting with ES as being the everyday, which is fantastic. What I want them to do next is to come out with a pilot of 10 liquid stocks, the Apple, Facebook, Cisco, etc., and give us 0, give us or at least three Monday, Wednesday, Friday DTEs on those. That would be awesome. Microsoft, of course. All right. We actually been paring down our inventory, so everything's fine there. Let's go right to gappers and earnings here. I just saw this thing going by the ticker when Greg was talking. Wow, look at his rocket ship. But the gap's too big now. It's a pro gap. But as we say, just because you got a pro gap, just because you got a breakout, et cetera, it doesn't make it viable once we go through our checklist. And that one's excessive. JetBlue earnings was up, now down. Yesterday's low. 30-minute low could be a short. Jets are typically not that liquid pre-market, but down a little bit there. Look at this little recent IPO. Today's Tuesday, so this was last Friday. JCSE. But now it's a bearish gap into that opening bar. We'll come back to you. Arch earnings gapping up. That's put spread idea. Greater than 100% if it can take out, and actually a day trade idea. Gapping over yesterday's high, little cup and handle here. Price void to 150 and low 150s. That actually looks good. I'm gonna put that in a window. ARC-H. And Greg, you know, I got Michael Jackson as a permanent little window, and I'm like, what are you doing yapping up today? So I don't know if there's any news in marijuana patch, but we'll keep an eye on you. SBAC, I don't see the gap. ENTG, no gap, no pattern yet. Here, 156, no pattern, but maybe put spread. Cal, that's a nice gap from a bottoming pattern. You know, making the turn here. Tomorrow, MT live volume. So whenever we have an MT live, kind of that subject is in my head. Look at this, volume igniting, volume on the gap down. Look at that. So this is bullish volume. That's put spread idea. UHS. Wow. What is UHS? Isn't that a real company? Yeah, it's Universal Health. That's getting whacked. Look at that. Look at that. It's way down here on my weekly chart. All right, well, I'm gonna put that in the window too. Let's see, I have no ideas where buyers will step up. It's still a bearish pre-market, but they will somewhere, and let the chart tell us where. No pattern, Zion, ugly gap under yesterday's low. Check the weekly. That is room to fall. Banks extended, bounced off support, so not a great entry. WRB, it's not liquid. No prints. ARE, no prints. I got to come back to these because I use pre-market volume if it's liquid. This is strong. It's in an uptrend. Buy setup on support in the 20. That's you know, textbook buy setup. But it could be totally destroyed once we see the gap. I'll put that in the window. Hexel, same. Wow, it sounds there so many have no volume here. Recent IPO. Yesterday was a nice gap reversal, but gapping deep in the yesterday's low. That's not good. Sierra Tango, potential bottoming pattern. SSTK had a nasty gap, but far from the 20. So that actually would be on my gap and snap list because it's down a lot into earnings. Yeah, tonight earnings, so we have Google, right? Google, Apple, Texas Instruments. Here's another buy setup. Car. 3 bars down, support, reversal. I cannot believe that this is a rental car company that they're holding this strong. Remember this day it ripped to 550 on earnings, and that was real. That's a real tail there. Hub, no pattern, no volume. I mean, if you get Arch, we saw below. That's a duplicate. ADM, 96 bucks, bullish gap, but middle of the range, nothing there. I don't have many tier ones right here today. Below 30-minute high, maybe. Well, ups I posted. All right, ups I posted a 30-minute high, put spread watch. I have it in the bottom right here. Actually, I put PII in here as a bearish gap. Look at this gap. Oh, I was hoping it was gapping right to 100. And then maybe 15-minute low, I would have shorted. But now it just cascaded another $3 lower. And there, look at that big old inverse head and shoulders on the monthly. You see how patterns work on all time frames? That is a 100% textbook inverse head and shoulders, just with a smaller right shoulder. But look, like you had a closing breakout at the neckline. So that's a call spread idea, McGraw. Tizu, light volume, but gap breakout. We'll watch it on a pullback. Triple M has been dead here. It's been dead money. Trading range 146. Bearish gaps are now 30-minute low idea. DHI was up in the morning, I saw. Now it's coming in. Potential bottoming pattern, but housing has been under huge pressure with rising rates. AVY, nothing. PII we just looked at. ADM we looked at. Sherwin, 268. All right, big gap. That's a put spread idea. I'll put that in a window. He's typically very spready though, so I'm not going to even look for a while. GE, this thing's been dead money for the longest time. Look, this is a descending triangle. Look at this, descending triangle. It was trying to hold support, lower highs, cracking on the weekly. So GE's bearish, but it's down a lot from the 50 now. Corning, there you go, there you go. It's not a textbook W bottom, but the same message. Nice reversal and support, gap breakout. That's worth watching on a pullback. I'm putting that in a window. ELW. I see UPS bottom right, giving it up the gap. So Pepsi bullish, but no pattern. Michael X-ray bullish gap, but excessive. Varu, this was a watch from yesterday. It really needs to hold right here if it's going to keep its bullishness as a 1, 2, 3. Little ride, potential bottoming pattern. I'm going to set an alarm now at 2:45. But yeah, I also think we're not going to do much today with these earnings coming out. And the charts also. Oscar India. I mean, it's a bullish gap, John. It's just, you know, what time frame are you trading and where's your stop going to be? And I personally don't trade gap stocks within the first 5 minutes unless they have an incredibly bullish pre-market pattern. Look at the UPS totally gave up the pre-market bias. Now it looks like a short, not a long. Transports here, bearish gap, but nothing to do with them. Greg, our Sky H holding well. This was